Hi guys, it's Colette. Welcome back to my channel. My channel's Grandmother Winds of the Earth, and I'm Colette. And I want to get right into a little video today about 10 things never to say or do to a psychic or mediumistic child. I was that child. Not all these things were said to me, but many of them were. And I've heard them being said to other children, and it's not a good thing to do. My Memoirs of a Clairvoyant has this little girl back here in it. That's Isabella, who's my big sister, who I played with when I was younger, from about maybe up to about age of 8. The problem was that she had passed about 14 years before I was born, which freaked my mum and dad out a bit. And then I got into various bits of trouble with school teachers, etc., by just being that psychic child. So if you think you've got a child or a grandchild or a niece or a nephew or a sibling that is open, sensitive, psychic, mediumistic, these are the 10 things never to say or do. But I believe that maybe you wouldn't be like that. It's maybe that you could pass on to someone else. So let's go for it. 10 things never to say or do to a psychic mediumistic child. The first one is stop making things up. What a thing to say to a child. Children do make things up. They make stories up. They make games up. And in a way, they subconsciously know that these things are made up and they're in their head. They're very real to them, but they're not as real as a psychic premonition or a spirit would be. Believe me, they're not. I continually made things up as I was a child, making up games, making up my stories, writing, poetry, making things up. But the spirits that I saw and the spirits I played with and the premonitions I got were not making things up. So please do not say stop making things up, okay? Number 2, classic. I had this for the whole of my childhood. You have such an imagination. Most children have good imaginations. Psychic, sensitive, mediumistic, open children can have very wonderful imaginations. In fact, part of their being able to visualize things and to predict or maybe see spirit is because they actually do have that no bars on their imagination. For you to be able to see something or visualise, you have to be open kind of in the first place. And children do have a good imagination, and psychic children and mediumistic children do have excellent imaginations. But you have to understand again that for most of the time, even a little child, 3, 4, 5, will know the difference to what's in their head to what they're actually seeing or feeling. And as an adult, as time goes on, you'll need to help them, or you'll need to get someone to help them that knows how to discern the difference between the two. So please don't be saying in a condescending way, oh, you have such an imagination. I had that from so many teachers, even in the middle of a major battlefield where I was visiting and saw the battle going on round about me, and believe me, it was not my imagination. I was in it. Okay. The third one to me is a very cruel one. Didn't kind of happen to me in a big way, but you can imagine if you are a psychic child and you're born into a very religious family where things like spirits and premonition are not seen as a good thing, even though prophecy and healing may be part of that religion. But one of the worst things you can say to a child in a religious family who's trying to find their way and has these feelings of something going to happen or talking to spirits, the worst thing that you can say is God will punish you. Things like, I'll get the priest to you, I'll take you to see Father so-and-so. That just puts the fear of God into a child, the fear of God into an already sensitive and probably very spiritual child, probably an old soul, probably has more knowledge than some of the parents will ever have, more of a bright soul and a high vibration than the people that are saying, God will punish you. Don't say that. So please, if you are religious and following the rules and regulations of a religion, maybe see that having a psychic or mediumistic child is some sort of lesson for you, not a lesson for them, okay? So don't do the God will punish you, I'll get you to the priest thing. Please don't. Number 4, we can talk about it later, but then later never comes. So you've got a situation where the child has maybe said something, it's awkward, you know, think, Mummy, when I was in your tummy, blah blah blah, or Mummy, why is Papa in the room when Papa's dead? All these things that can be said and in company can cause hush. Just hang on, we'll talk about it later. But then you don't. That's horrific, because you're shutting a child up, which in the circumstances might actually be a good thing. I mean, there's a time and a place for things, and children have to grow into teenagers and adults and know when's the time to come out with a premonition or to come out with some sort of spooky thing. And they will need to be able, again, to discern that, what is the correct time. But if you shut them down, immediately they'll feel they've done something wrong. And if you say, we can talk about it later, and they think, oh, right, okay, I need to know more about this, what have I done wrong, or all sorts of feelings, and then later it never comes. You know, Mum, Dad, can we talk about this? No, just forget about it. That is soul destroying. And in a way, I think I was lucky, because that never happened that much to me. I normally just spoke my mum and dad out when they were on their own, and I was probably too busy dancing about at family gatherings and being clumsy to actually go into some sort of mode of psychic awareness. The 5th one, yeah, this can be said, but it also can be done. And I've experience of this. What a child who's maybe had a premonition, and it's maybe come true, or they're directly speaking to a spirit who, you know, is known to the family, or they're having night terrors or whatever. A parent, grandparent, sibling should never say, you are scaring me, you are scaring me. What thing to say to a child? It's like you're literally making them into a little demon that has the potential to scare people. And children don't particularly want to be the scary one. They really don't. They want to fit in. And if they really want to be the scary one, they're probably psychopaths. So just don't say you're scaring me. This is a hard one, because with one of the major predictions I had about an accident for my mum, I actually told my mum and dad that there was something bad going to happen on a train journey, and acted up. I was 10 or 11 at the time, acted up, wouldn't go on the train, was put on the train because it's the last one, all sorts of things, the sweats, the premonition, and then the accident happened to my mum. And at that point, I was raging, because in my wee body I was like, I told you so. But my dad was looking at me as though, you've scared the living daylights out of me, oh my God. And it was that look of fear in him that I'll never forget. He's a beautiful man, lovely man. He just was way out of his depth. Plus the actual psychic gene, the sense of mediumistic stuff or whatever that runs through my dad's side, not my mum's side. So my dad's side had this, and he was quite scared of it all. He was very, very staunch religious man, and anything out of that did scare him a bit. So a child that just predicted some sort of accident for to do with that train that we were on, that would hurt someone, would hurt family, my mum, then to have that happen, and then for your dad to look at you like, I'm scared witless, and I was staring back like, I told you so, why didn't you listen to me? I was only 10. So I have had that, you are scaring me. The person doesn't need to say it. They can look terrified. Now, I know that's a natural thing, but please try not to. Try and keep your face neutral and say, maybe if there's the accident or whatever's just happened, say, let's talk about this later, and then make sure that you do, okay? Have an understanding. Don't think that your child is it's a good thing for your child to think that they scare a parent or a grandparent. Yeah, that one did affect me quite a bit, and it made me quite bolshy actually, because I was like, well, nobody believes me, so I shut up after that. I didn't say that much. I just kept so much to myself, which is fair enough. You'll find a lot of children do that anyway. Number 6, there's no such thing as ghosts. So, you know, children might see a Christmas carol or things with ghosts in them, and they may sort of have seen a spirit or see many spirits, or very much have that energy of Papa round about them, or a sibling that's passed. The way they may interpret that is a ghost. That's a ghost because that's the only thing that can maybe put it through. Whereas you and I would say maybe a spirit or whatever. They pick up on the word ghosts. So to be told that there's no such thing as ghosts is a bit like, but what's that then? You know, you're telling the person not to believe what they see or even what they hear. And for a child, that's very, very difficult, incredibly difficult. You have to be open to the way that they would express something. If an 8 or 9-year-old is saying, "Mummy, I saw a ghost," what they're possibly seeing is they've seen some sort of energy, or they've seen a spirit that's actually communicated with them, or they've seen, you know, the energy of where a person used to be and the repetition of that electromagnetic energy. All of these things they would say, "I saw a ghost." So you need to think that, you know, if they're using that terminology, then you use that too, until you can maybe pull them forward a wee bit and have them an understanding that it's not like Halloween ghosts or whatever, that there is an energy. And again, if you're a parent that's psychic and mediumistic, that's quite an easy thing to do, little bit by little bit. It doesn't need to all happen at once. You can say, "Oh yes, I understand what you saw there. Yeah, that's Papa who's passed," and you know. So use the terminology that they use, and then mature them with it as they get a wee bit older. Number 7, another one similar. People will think you're crazy. Meaning, shut up. Don't embarrass us. Now, the people will think you're crazy can also be said in a nice way. I'm not saying it's all like don't embarrass us or don't embarrass yourself. It can be said in a very nice way. Family genuinely don't want children to be totally out of the ordinary or be perceived as totally different or, you know, weird or crazy. So I can understand that their perception of that, they would want to pull back from. But to say to a child, people think you're crazy if you say that, stop saying that. A child will immediately internalise that and think, well, I don't want to be the crazy one, I don't want to be the weird one, I want to be with my friends, I don't want to be crazy. And they'll start to push all their psychic ability down, and they'll try and ignore it. And that's generally what happens as a child grows older. A lot of the way that they move away from this stuff to go back to it in their 20s and 30s, but a lot of the way they move away from it is simply to fit in. And I certainly did that in my teens. My teens, I was very, well, normal Colette as such. And I pushed what I felt was the spiritual, psychic stuff into more activism. But I do believe the activism and the caring was a way for me to let out a bit of the energy that I was pushing down. So please don't say people think you're crazy. Excuse me. Now, number 8. And some of these are overlapping, you know, but they're worth seeing from slightly different angles, like a prism of the way that you could react to things. Number 8 is simply to ignore the child who is vehement with what they saw or sensed. A lot of children really feel premonition strongly, to the extent that they literally will be going crazy, literally having all sorts of sweats and breathing problems, because they're sensing the energy of something bad coming, and they might not to be able to pin it down, but some of them can. Like with me, it was, we're not getting on that train, we're not getting on that train, Dad, we're not getting on that train, only to get pulled on the train. So just ignoring it completely isn't giving any comfort. Even if at that point you were to saying, like, I know you're upset and I know there's a worry, but let's just try and calm you down for the moment and we'll talk it through and then see what to do. But never ignore a psychic child. I mean, ignore them if they're sitting playing with their stuff and they're having a wee conversation with, you know, maybe a little spirit guide, a little, what we sometimes call an imaginary friend. Well, my imaginary friend was White Storm, who's my guide, and also Isabella. So if they're chattering away, ignore them then, let them get on with it, let them enjoy the freedom of that interaction, because they'll remember it when they're older. They might not remember it in their teens, but they'll go back to it at later times and remember the friendship and the joy. So please only ignore them if they're actually fine and enjoying it and they don't need to be disturbed. But if they're really upset and really panicking and trying to go over something, listen to them. And even if if you know that they're psychic or whatever, maybe don't do that thing. Because I don't think my dad ever looked at me the same way again after I predicted an accident. The accident happened, and I mean, he loved me to bits, but I think there were things about me that terrified him. So just don't ignore a child. And the next thing follows on from that, number 9, don't say, oh, it's just anxiety. Because here's the big problem. For a psychic child, particularly one with premonition or a feeling of the energy in the area or the world, what can happen is that it feels very much like anxiety attack. But it's not. It has all the added different things. Now, if they're having a psychic vision or a premonition and you tell them it's just anxiety, how in the years ahead, are they going to be able to discern what is a premonition or a sense of the sheer psychic anxiety that comes from being open to actually a bout of normal kind of day-to-day physical real world anxiety? How do they discern that? I started young with some of the children that I helped with this, to try to let them understand that, you know, if they felt this in their tummy, then that was like an excitement or an anxiety. But if they felt this, and bit by bit got them to separate the symptoms, you know, like an anxiety attack might really have very much tummy things going on, and tension. A psychic premonition may well have a headache, it may have them breathing differently. Each child is different, and each child as they grow has to be able to know where they're going with it. Now, it's not straight across the board. I've been doing this stuff forever, and even now sometimes I have to sit when I feel something coming over me and I'll think, oh, I'm anxious today. I have to sit and think, no, what am I anxious about? Is it anxiety or is it a premonition? Is there something bad going to happen that we're going to hear about? And I have to sit and discern what I'm feeling and how it feels, and I'll be like, no, this is definitely something bad's coming. That takes time, but to me, the difference between anxiety and the stress that comes through a premonition of sorts of a negative event, it's one of the most important things that has to be understood and worked with a child, and also adults as well. Many adults can't tell the difference between what is normal anxiety to them and what is internal anxiety or external anxiety, and that's a thing that most people will struggle with for life. But if as a child it's just anxiety, they'll bit by bit everything is labelled just anxiety when it's not. So please don't do that. Now, number 10 is a different way of looking at it. Some parents and grandparents, etc., with an extremely psychic child are quite thrilled by it. They think it's amazing, and that's great. But some also like to almost make the child perform. They want their child labelled as the psychic one, as the intuitive one, the special one. And that can be okay up to a point as long as the child's okay with that. But from my point of view, a child should never be forced or encouraged to perform for other people. In a way, to me, that is so dishonouring of the child, who, because they have these open gifts, are probably an older soul than you are, and you are dishonouring their gift by pushing them forward to perform. Please don't do that. Now, I know most of you won't, but I want to make you aware of it, just in case at some point you maybe see it happening with, you know, maybe I don't know, a niece or a nephew or whatever, where you can see their gift almost being just feted a wee bit too much. Never make a child perform on a psychic level. Never force them to do anything. I had this in a different way where someone used to, and I'll not name who it was or whatever, it's from my past, but someone who literally would give me two teams, like say, oh, we've got this team and that team, and watch for a reaction, and then think that that was You know, if I get a good reaction with one of them, like what, that would be the, that would be the one they would put a bet on to win. And it took me a while to figure out what was happening, you know. Let's play a game, this or this, like blue or red, yellow or green, blue or green, bum bum bum. And in a way, they were making me perform without me realising really what they were doing. And as an adult looking back on that, I'm like, and I wasn't a child when it happened to me, I was actually older than a child. But looking back on that, I'm like, what? You know? Also, you'll find that a lot of psychic and empathic children can actually be quite naive. So watch that there aren't people that will encourage them to perform, not for the child's benefit, but for their own benefit. No, not good. And I know all of you watching this would never do that one, but if you do see it happening for that child's good health, for their spiritual health, it might be worthwhile, you know, saying, oh look, they're a wee bit tired, or just, you know, quietly at some point saying, I felt uncomfortable with that, or whatever. It's up to you, but I think a lot of children want to perform their dancing, they want to perform their musical ability, they want to perform their jokes, their stories. But, you know, I've never really met a child that was happy to perform their connection with a spirit or their premonition. It's too tightly bound in them. They don't see it as something special or something that's, you know, that different from what's going on in the rest of them. They don't see the need to perform in that. So that's the 10. Let me know what you think, and we always have a bit of conversation going on in the comments. So if you have other things to add to this, or your own stories, please add them, because there's maybe more or maybe things I've missed, and I'd like you to add it, and we can all learn from one another. A lot of my experiences as a child growing up are in my Memoirs of a Clairvoyant by Colette Brown. A lot of the stories that I'm sort of touching on with Isabel and with the accident on the train are in that book. So maybe consider giving yourself a wee early Christmas present. So let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up if you like this sort of video, and subscribe if you feel you would like to. The channel can be a wee bit random. I tend to do what I feel like doing. Something will come to me and I'll go do it, and I might not revisit that ever again. And sometimes with health, etc., there's things where I'm not on camera because I don't feel up to it. And there's gaps between videos, and that's the way it is. And my lovely community here don't mind a bit, because they've told me time and time again. So I hope you'll join us if you've not joined the community yet, and I hope that you will have your say, and I look forward to seeing you at another video. Many blessings now. Bye.